Good day and welcome once again to this channel, Understanding Systemic Police Corruption. Here we not only discuss systemic police corruption, but also systemic political corruption, because they're partners, they work hand in hand. And today's discussion is war is a racket. Now, in light of the recent attack by the state of Israel on a sovereign country, state of Iran, really unprovoked. This is and could possibly lead to a very, very widened war. And I think it's very appropriate to talk about war is a racket. Now, this is a short book written by Major General Smedley Darlington Butler, and it was published in 1935. This book is available free of charge online. Just do a web search to get the links to the book. It doesn't cost you anything. But if you want to know the real reasons there is war, you must read this book. Absolutely. This book was written by a career soldier who was one of the most decorated Marines in United States history. He was awarded 2 Congressional Medals of Honor. And he said, quote, "War is a racket. It always has been. It is possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious." End of quote. He, Major Smedley Butler, describes how a small group of powerful industrialists, bankers, and arms dealers, and he calls them the Profiteers, manipulate nations into wars while ordinary people pay with their lives and taxes. He also said, and I quote, "I spent 33 years and 4 months in active military service, and during that period, I spent most of my time being a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street, and for the bankers. In short, I was a racketeer, a gangster for capitalism." End of quote. The citizens are led to believe the country is fighting for freedom, human rights, fighting against terrorism, fighting against communism, national interest, helping an ally, to save democracy, or any other good-sounding cause. When in fact, as Major General Smedley Butler said, quote, "Only a small inside group knows what it's about. It is conducted for the benefit of the very few at the expense of the very many. Out of war, a few people make huge fortunes." End of quote. In the book, Butler describes how numerous companies made record profits from the war, and this war would be World War I. Some of the companies made products that were not needed and never used. However, those companies got paid, and the taxpayers and the soldiers paid the bill. In the book, War is a Racket, Major General Smedley Butler makes several recommendations telling the public how to smash the racket. He wrote, quote, "You can't end it by disarmament conferences. You can't eliminate it by peace parleys at Geneva. Well-meaning but impractical groups can't wipe it out by resolutions. It can be smashed effectively only by taking the profit out of war." End of quote. He also wrote, and again, I quote, "All the workers, all presidents, all executives, all directors, all managers, all bankers, yes, and all generals and all admirals and all officers and all politicians and all government office holders, everyone in the nation be restricted to a total monthly income not to exceed that paid to the soldier in the trenches. End of quote. Another suggestion from Butler is, quote, the limited plebiscite to determine whether a war should be declared. A plebiscite not of all the voters, but merely of those who would be called upon to do the fighting and dying. End of quote. So he was suggesting that before the nation goes to war, the people who would decide to vote on whether or not the nation would go to war would not be old men, but it would be the young men who would be qualified to risk their lives. That's not a bad suggestion, because now just one guy can simply use the War Powers Act or whatever and just say, yeah, we're going to bomb this person, we're going to bomb that place, we're going to target it, somebody. You, the public, you have to understand, you can't look back 200 years and say, well, gee, slavery was a bad thing. You have to recognize it's a bad thing right then and there, in real time. So when you talk about target assassinations and things like that, you have to recognize in real time that that is a very bad thing. Not 100 years later to think, oh, gee, that's something that should not have happened. So you need to ask, why is a war really necessary? The country leaders won't tell the United States citizens this war is to guarantee massive profits for the weapons industry, banks, Wall Street, hedge funds. It won't tell the public, your sons and daughters will risk their lives for those hedge funds and oil companies. Instead, you will be told, we are fighting for freedom, democracy, human rights, security, stabilization, against terrorism and dictatorship. All to keep the biggest racket going. Under the circumstances, good luck and stay safe.
Like, share, and subscribe. The information in this channel comes from a whistleblowing police lieutenant with more than 25 years of police experience. He is an expert in police procedures, police internal investigations, and discipline. Please stay safe.